Hello everybody. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I can see lots of people coming into the session, so we'll wait a few seconds for more people to join us. I'm Jenny. Hello, I'm BrightLocal Social and Community Manager, and I'm hosting today's session with Rachel Allen. Rachel is a local search strategist from Crowd, who are a global full-service agency. So we've got lots of people joining us today. I can see the attendee count rising, which is really exciting. So say hello in the live chat, which you'll be able to find on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Let us know where you're dialing in from. Yes, first person already. Hello to Kenneth from Tampa in Florida. When you are using the live chats, if you go to the drop down where it says to hosts and panelists, use the drop down and make sure you choose chat with everyone, and then everyone can see your lovely messages. This is great. We've got loads of people. Got from Iowa. Someone from Crowd NYC. Hello, Stefan. Hello, Willow in Las Vegas. Amazing. Kansas City. This is really cool. Seattle. People from all over. This is amazing. Love to see it. Thank you. So before we get started, I'm going to have to run through the housekeeping just to let everybody know that this webinar, it definitely will be recorded, so you can return to it at any point. It's actually going to be sent to you via email, or you can find it on the website. I think from tomorrow we'll have it all sort of updated and uploaded, or you can head over to our YouTube channel to catch the recording at a time that suits you. And today's webinar is going to be really exciting. It's actually perfect for this time of year. Rachel is going to share a month-by-month plan between now and the holiday season so that you can all plan and leverage and go live with your marketing campaigns without that kind of last-minute scramble or, forgetting anything important. At the end of the webinar, we're going to have a Q&A. So make sure you ask your questions in the Q&A box. You can find the button for that at the bottom of the screen. And there's also the functionality that you can upvote the questions that you want asked. So if you upvote the ones that you think, I'd love to know the answer to that too, upvote it and we will get through as many as we can. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce Rachel Allen. Hello, Rachel. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Jenny. Yes, hello. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Rachel. I work with Crowd, as Jenny said. I'm based in London, but we've got offices around the world. I've been working with Crowd for 15 years. We're a full service agency, but I very much specialise in local SEO. Absolutely my passion. But I didn't start there. I actually started a very, very long time ago back in the retail world. So I had a lot of experience back there. And I feel like my time in that retail space has really helped me as a local SEO. And you're probably going to find that I'm going to make reference to some of those times when I used to be working on the shop floor or planning marketing, talking to staff, dealing with customer service, all those kinds of things, receiving reviews. That are all really relevant. So yeah, really excited to go through this, and hopefully we can get some good time at the end for some Q&A.
Amazing. Yes, yeah, really talking earlier about how it's such a sort of useful industry to be in for so long, sort of before switching to marketing. So we're going to get loads of really great kind of expert insights from both the kind of retail side of things and the actual, local search, local SEO side of things. So should we quickly cover what we are going to talk about today?
Yes, so we basically approached this as kind of like a calendar countdown. So we're going to go through 6 different sections covering those months, basically from where we are today in July, looking at all the foundations that we can lay for our holiday campaigns, and then moving through to kind of peak summer. How can we build on that visibility? But in the kind of back to school season, how can we continue to spark that engagement? October always feels like a really big month. It's kind of that big step change where we're kind of moving out of summer. Got some Halloween and some Thanksgiving and other holidays coming up, but we're kind of building that momentum as we move into November. And then how we're going to wrap it up all strong in December. So we're going to work through this kind of checklist style, give you some pointers along the way. As I said, hopefully we'll have some good time for Q&A at the end. And then we are able to wrap all of this up with a nice checklist that you'll be able to download right at the end as well.
Amazing. Okay, so we are talking about Christmas in July, and it might seem like a bit of a strange time of year to be talking about this. So, why do we need to start thinking about the holidays right now in July?
You're right, it does feel a little bit weird, but if you're like me, it feels like yesterday it was January. So everything just goes like so quickly. And I think that when you are a smart business, you really need to like kind of start laying the groundwork and always work kind of, minimum 4 months ahead. So we're going to try and be like the early bird that catches the worm, or rather the bird that's going to avoid the stress when that inevitable rush comes later on. So basically, everything that we start to do now is going to take that stress off of ourselves and help to build that momentum. So starting right at the beginning with kind of a good, solid keyword research, which we're going to go through in a minute, and then right through to capturing seasonal photos and setting the tone for later in the year and all that comes in between, getting ready for kind of the switch around to January sales at the end. So yeah, July is all about the foundations. So yeah, we can walk through what we're going to do in July. So we've got 8 points here. Going to run through them as quick as I can so we can keep pace. But I wanted to just firstly just pause and spend a little bit of time on what I think is that real key foundation. So that's conducting and then being able to leverage like a really solid seasonal keyword research. And why that matters and why it's so important is we want to be able to kind of early intent capture. So holiday searches, they are starting now. I'm not that on it this year, I'll be completely honest, but definitely in years past, I've been one of those really annoying people that's kind of done a lot of my Christmas shopping, like maybe by August, which can be very irritating to other people. So not so on it this year. But getting that start now and getting ahead of your competitors is going to be key to your success. So kind of doing that keyword research is going to inform your whole campaign. It's going to shape the kinds of Google Business Profile descriptions that you can update, the kind of posts that you can put out, the landing page copy that you're going to write, captions for your socials, even the kind of seasonal FAQs that you can start uploading later. And all of this is going to help boost our local relevance. So looking at like seasonal phrases, helping Google or other search engines as well to surface those kind of Christmas gifts near me kind of style queries. So what we want to be doing is firstly gathering some of our data. Now there's loads of free kind of easy and efficient ways that we can do this. We can start looking at Google Trends. We can start spotting the climbs in kind of Christmas gift ideas or very niche terms that are very specific to your categories and your business. We can use things like People Also Ask to help collect real world queries, or even just starting to type in your kind of festive or seasonal terms into Google and seeing what Google auto completes and kind of making a list of those. And then we can start layering in kind of data from tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush, or of course BrightLocal as well, start mapping local search volumes, some of those kind of longer tail opportunities. What we then do is move to build our kind of seasonal keyword list. So what we do then is split, or what I like to do is split into kind of an informational list. So, when does Santa visit town, for example, and then create a transactional list. So this might be for queries like holiday bookings near me. Shows a little bit more intent. And then what we want to then layer in is kind of local modifiers, so the town that you're in or the postcodes or the neighborhoods that your business or business locations are located in. And then once we've got that, we can then start putting that kind of towards an activation. So this might be now, we might start to use some of this keyword research now, or we might use some of it later on. But the key point is that we want to be ready. So we'll talk about some of this later as we move through the months, but to give an idea where this keyword research could be leveraged. So either now or in the following months is across your descriptions, your Google Business Profile services, weaving in seasonal terms like holiday menu, for example, or gift wrapping available, what you can put out in your content for your social posts or your Google posts, and then of course your landing pages, whether that's how you're going to be updating your metadata or kind of reinforcing seasonal messaging and offers and other important information that's really specific in a local way. And then it's really important, lastly, to not be too generic. So it can be easy to just think, well, we'll be going for terms like Christmas sale. But to be honest, that's probably not going to cut it. It's really, really broad. And some of these kind of more generic terms are incredibly competitive. So there'll be thousands of other businesses that are also using them as well. So instead, what we want to be doing is aiming for local plus specific. So the kind of triggers that really reflect the actual offering and your local geography. So kind of to try and give you an example, if we think of a kind of a quite generic term like Christmas sale now on, what would maybe be better to optimize for is Christmas gift sale at our location boutique, or even better, handmade Christmas gifts under $20, for example, or under $20 shop local in Cambridge or downtown Dallas, or whatever your location is. So we know that customers are increasingly searching for these kind of more specific and longer tail queries. So kind of going to this level of detail and being less generic is really going to help Google and other search engines to better understand what you offer, importantly, where you are, and why it's really relevant for the now, so in that seasonal build-up. Two last things before we move on. Don't be tempted to keyword stuff. So while you've got this really hopefully nice and rich seasonal keyword research, be careful that you're not spamming it everywhere. So a really great example is your Google business profile. Names can be really tempting to stuff loads of keywords in there, but it really can kind of hurt your credibility and your readability, and can be breaking some guidelines, going to be risking putting yourselves kind of under suspension. And then of course, don't wait until November, because then you really miss the window for rising search interest. So you need to be layering this keyword research in as we go along. So I'll point out some of the places where we can use it. So that was probably the one I'm going to speak the most about, because I really think it underpins everything. What I really then want to move on to, and you're going to see this is a really recurring theme throughout, is customer reviews. So there's nothing wrong with starting or building on any momentum you've already been doing over the past 6 months. But if you haven't, start doing it now. Like, really focus on your reviews. We know that they're a core ranking factor, especially kind of recent fresh reviews. They build trust really early. They help boost conversion, especially during this kind of peak season. And we know now that reviews are just even more important, because they're starting to infiltrate large language models and AI overviews. We know that the review content is being used to train these, so it's just ever more crucial. And then again, starting early, this is allowing us to gather more reviews, build our volumes up, and start to get some of those kind of mentions of festive offerings, which are going to help us. It's a really good time to start thinking about training your staff. They're the front line when it comes to giving good customer service, and they're in prime position to be asking for reviews. So we're going to come back to this as we go through the months, but I will keep pushing reviews as we go through this. Other ways that you can use reviews is really good to quote them in your social media posts, put them out in your Google posts, put them on your website, can be really powerful. Can be really good to look out for reviews that specifically start to mention your holiday products or the seasonal services that you offer, and then you can kind of repurpose these as and when you need them, kind of as social proof. We just need to be careful when it comes to reviews, that we are making sure we're following all of the rules. We don't want to violate any of Google's guidelines, so we want to make sure that they're all genuine. And then most importantly, once we are collecting reviews, we want to make sure that we are responding, so that we're showing that we really do care and that we're building our credibility and our trust. Next point, really important to start looking at auditing your Google business profile. This will come up again in future months, because anybody that suffered a user suggested edit that Google has just flat out gone and published and updated your telephone number or your hours and they're wrong, we know that it's something that we do need to check often. So July can be a great starting place to make sure that your Google business profile, the first impression in search, everything's nice and accurate, there's nothing outdated, and that the content we've got there is matching the search intent that we're after. So this could be looking at things like your name, making sure your hours are all up to date, making sure any links in your profiles are pointing to where you want them to go. Are they going to your most optimal landing pages? Are they pointing to an individual store page if you have multiple locations, or are they going to your homepage? Are they working properly? Are we tracking them? Are we adding some UTM codes on so we can see how these are performing? And then something else that's really key to look at is your categories. Again, this is going to come up in the following months, but for now, make sure that your categories are what you intend them to be, and that they actively and accurately reflect your key products and your services. Make sure that you're leveraging your additional categories as well. So have your primary category there, but remember that you can add up to 9 additional categories. Don't necessarily need to use the full 9, but it's a really good way to add extra relevance. And then as we move closer to December, past all the different key holidays, we can look to adapt some of those categories if you're a business that kind of tends to change seasonally. And then last for this check in July, make sure that your photos are really well representative of your business, and just make sure that there's no user uploaded photos which are not representing your business very well. So you can potentially try and flag those to Google to have them removed. Make sure you're updating your logos and things like that, just to make sure that everything's a nice clean slate, so we can keep adding to them as we go through the next few months. Next point, plan your holiday content themes. Again, this might seem like it's really, really early and you're still very much in the kind of the heat of summer, but I'm starting to identify and plan for the things that are going to matter to you over the next few months and as the key events come by. If you're doing that early, it's going to give a lot of structure to your posts or your email campaigns or the kind of visual content that you're updating. It can be really helpful to create a kind of cohesive storytelling throughout the season if you're planning really early. And it can also, for our own sanity, it can help to prevent that kind of last minute content panic where you're scrambling and trying to get everything together really quickly. You could start to look at things like gifting local, or 12 days of Christmas offers, or festive treats from your local neighbourhood, and try and tie those in with the different seasons that are coming up. So whether that's Black Friday or Thanksgiving or Hanukkah, right up until we get to Christmas, or even just kind of like general community markets. What's going on in your community that's based around these seasons, and what kind of content can we do collaboratively that kind of feeds off of that as well. Can be a really good tip to kind of do this in a spreadsheet or set up a calendar where you've got weekly or seasonal themes. Make sure everybody's using the same thing, so you've not got lots of different kind of documents and planning spread about all over the place, so everybody's on the same page. And then you can also use that retrospectively the following year, repurpose things, look back and remember what you did last year and kind of know what worked and what didn't. We're going to come to that when we talk about setting up for January. And then lastly, just make sure that you don't go too crazy on trying to cover too many different themes. Try and keep your content plan and your calendar very focused, and don't make your posts or your content too salesy. It can be really, really helpful to get a good mix and a balance of kind of helpful and, I guess, what I like to call like feel-good content. It doesn't always have to be around what your product or your service messaging is. It can also be about your relationship with your customers, or celebrating your staff, or your local community as well. Moving on to auditing your online listings. So obviously we've already talked about Google Business Profiles, but obviously it doesn't end there. We need to make sure that we're being really consistent across all of our other key profiles and listings as well. So whether that be Apple Maps or Yelp, Bing or Facebook or some of the other socials, lots of these are very eligible to show up in local search. So we want to make sure that we've got really consistent key information about our business. So our names, addresses, phone numbers, business hour. If we don't do that, then we're putting our data at risk and kind of eroding the trust. And it's ultimately going to have a knock-on effect on our visibility and our rankings as well. So planning some time now to do a little bit of an audit, just to check, as with Google Business Profiles, that everything is consistent and up to date. If you're spotting any inaccuracies, make sure you get those kind of updated as soon as you can. There's lots of tools around that you may be leveraging, which can kind of do some of that heavy lifting for you. But if not, make sure you're doing some manual checks and just showing that everything's up to date. And then don't forget about things like temporary hours or menus and attributes as well. They might not be kind of the core basics, but they can still really help with your visibility, and they can also help customers convert as well. So just making sure that that's all accurate too. And then, although we are still in July, before Christmas and before Hanukkah and before Thanksgiving, we're going to have Black Friday kind of falling very quickly upon us. And this is obviously a huge time of the year for many businesses. So we need to make sure that we are kind of really preparing to capitalize on that massive footfall. A lot of people will kind of plan a lot of their holiday and Christmas shopping around Black Friday. So kind of plan for that as you would any other seasonal event. Have really clear promotions ready. It can kind of help you build that anticipation ahead of time, and then you can kind of quickly pivot from that as in the last kind of final throws before Christmas as well. So when you're thinking about setting up for Black Friday and the rest of the weekend, Cyber Monday, and I've heard that there's a small business Saturday, which I've not heard of in the UK, but possibly that's a US thing. But yeah, it's the whole weekend is like a mammoth opportunity for everybody. So start planning your assets now, whether that's your visuals or your descriptions. Make sure that they're going to be ready to go in kind of October, and then really push them again in November. And then don't forget to align all of that messaging across all of your platforms. So don't just plan to feed that all into one place. Make sure it's nice and consistent across everything. And then adding seasonal references. It may feel a little bit too early, but when we think about Google profile descriptions and other listing descriptions, and particularly the services feature where you can list the different services that your business offers, you might want to start planning some of this now, or adding some of the more seasonal related services, or pivoting some of the content so that it starts reflecting that now, or you can at least get that ready so that you can upload it later. So this could be things like mentions of Christmas gifts or holiday delivery times, festive menus. If you're kind of in the hospitality sector, then people are going to start to be thinking ahead of where they're going to be booking their Christmas family get-togethers or their office parties, and then update those services so in time. We don't have to erase what's already in there because it might still be very relevant through the summer months and kind of even going into kind of August, September, October, but we can start adding extra ones that are very seasonal ready. And then lastly, we've got start capturing our seasonal products and team photos. Again, it might feel like it's a little bit too early. And if you've been really proactive the year before, you might have an amazing bank of seasonal photos and visuals from the previous year that you might be able to repurpose. But just start building a bank of those, whether it's you're starting to get your very first Christmas deliveries of Christmas stock in, kind of unboxing type photos, or you've started to get some of your kind of marketing and point of sale in ready for Christmas. I remember when I was in retail, we used to get it months and months in advance. We'd be opening it at the back of the store while we'd still be very much be dressed for summer. So you can start kind of getting some of your photos and things together kind of at that point. And then that kind of wraps up the foundational things, but a lot of this is going to pour over into the next month. So Jenny, if you want to skip forward to August.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
we are building on visibility here. So I'm going to fire through this one quite quickly. So I know that we kind of want August to be warming up. You're not necessarily launching your full campaigns, but you're building on that visibility. So quick fire through these. Creating your holiday content calendar. We touched on that before, but it's building on it as you've started to move into different areas of your business where you're having your stock in, you're forming your ideas, you're having your marketing plans. Just keep building on that holiday content calendar. You can kind of use Google Sheets or Trello, map out what you're going to be doing week by week, slot in some of those key moments. We've spoken about Black Friday already, but make sure you're building in some flexible spots now so that you can kind of adjust to what's going on in the business, whether that's things like gift restocks or perhaps even weather related posts and social stuff that you can put out. And then don't forget to plan things at kind of pace yourself. Don't start pushing everything out at once as soon as we get into August. Maybe kind of start with 1 or 2 seasonal teaser posts and then start to scale up. And don't forget, as we've said before, you can always repurpose from what you learned the previous year and even what you're doing on your other platforms as well. If you're doing some kind of seasonal based stuff on your socials, you can also push that out on your Google Business profiles and some of your other local listings as well. then it can be really key to test and optimize your local landing pages. And if you've got a kind of a store locator for multiple location businesses, just make sure that that's all in working order. Put yourself in your customer's shoes and try and use that. Go in, see if you can find your local store, make sure you see everything you would expect to see. And then for local landing pages, make sure that you've got all of your key information on there, that you're covering all of the basics, but also that you've got some converting content on there. So start to include your seasonal offers if they're already live. Make sure you've got clear directions to your business on there, and you're including transport links. Things like parking information can be really helpful, and especially like notes on accessibility. People are starting to plan where they want to shop and they've got accessibility needs. It can be really key to mention those kind of things. And then all of our holiday assets, which we started collecting, we've started taking our photos. We want to make sure that we continue with that. So preparing things like promotional banners, gift guide templates, graphics that we might need for our Google Business posts, email headers, things like that. And of course, any physical printed assets as well that we might be using in stores. And this can be really helpful for things like reviews, where we could start creating QR codes that we can have out on tills. Again, start earning those reviews. And then moving on to auditing and setting up seasonal appointments or booking or reservation links. So we talked about GBP basics before, but it can be really key now to start thinking ahead for customers who are thinking ahead as well. So there's lots of businesses that offer seasonal services. So it could be something very seasonal, as you have a Santa's grotto and you're going to have Santa visits, or you're in hospitality and you've got a festive menu, or maybe you're a spa that's offering holiday treatments or holiday massages. And customers, nowadays, they don't want to pick up the phone generally and make these appointments. They want it to be nice and easy and seamless for them. So making sure that you're utilising all of the link fields across your profiles and your listings can be really key, and can just kind of help with that conversion and help people to make those bookings really easily. And again, just test it. Put yourself in your customer's shoes and make sure that those links are taking them to where they should be and that everything's in working order. And keep checking them, because often links get stripped out, or the UTM codes that are put on them get stripped out. Make sure that they're being checked regularly. And next, coordinating with other local businesses for joint promotions. This is something that I've definitely done in the past myself. I think especially if you are in kind of in a very independent kind of community marketing or local business space, then you might find that you've got lots of kind of neighbours around you that are independent businesses themselves, or even kind of like complementary businesses as well. So it might be restaurants and event spaces, for example. Reach out and start having conversations to see if there's any way that you can work together to kind of mutually benefit. And referral traffic can be really strong from these kind of collaborations. So to give you some ideas, you could kind of talk to your business neighbours about maybe some shared giveaways you could do, some festive trail maps. I've definitely done some of those over here in London, which can be really fun. Any cross promotions that you can do together. For example, if you buy here, then you can get 10% off there, and then collaborate on the kinds of content that you want to put out about that, or any joint events that you want to hold. Continue with earning great customer reviews. I'm going to say this for every single month, but just keep plugging it here. The review recency is just becoming so much more important that it doesn't matter if you've got 20 great reviews last month. If you don't get any this month, then that's going to have a knock-on effect. So you need to keep asking and keep imploring your staff and making them understand how important it is and how crucial they are, and to be able to ask for them and earn you some genuine reviews. And then next, checking key active social accounts are synced to your Google Business profile. So you've been able to do this for a long time, but it feels like it's becoming much more key in recent months. We've started to see Google testing, pulling through different social posts into the Google Posts carousel. So if you don't have that sync set up, you're really missing an opportunity to be able to showcase with no extra effort on your part, but to showcase what you're doing on one social platform directly in Google as well. So just go in there, go into your profile, go into where you can edit and then scroll down and find the social sync and just make sure that you've got your social handles correctly put in there. And then hopefully, if not immediately, then certainly within a day or so, they should show up on your profile. So that moves us nicely on to September. Okay, Jenny, I'm happy to just jump straight in. So
yeah, brilliant.
September, I kind of feel like it's kind of when things get real. Certainly in the UK, there's this really big mentality shift in September. We have kind of the schools go back at the beginning of September, and it kind of feels like once that happens, everybody's minds kind of shift towards Christmas and the upcoming kind of holiday season. So now is like when it's really the time to start dialing it up and really sparking that engagement with your customers so that you're first and top of mind when they start really thinking about their Christmas shopping or the events and activities and things that they want to do around Christmas. So this is a good time to start thinking about things like scheduling holiday hours in your Google Business Profile. If you know that you're going to have days upcoming, there's certainly lots of different national holidays, depending on what market you're in, that are going to be upcoming over the next few months. We can start planning for these and making sure that Google and other listings are going to be displaying your opening hours if they're going to be different from the norm, or especially days that you're going to be closed, just making sure that that's really visible so that you're not setting any customers up to be disappointed, because we know that that can ultimately lead to negative reviews, which we're obviously trying to avoid. We can also think about kind of extended or different opening hours. So whether that's like shopping evenings that you might be starting to implement, might be a little bit soon in September. But I've certainly known some businesses that start to trade later on a Thursday, for example, in the UK is quite popular. So we can start planning to put those hours in and just take full advantage of those extra opening hours. Might also start thinking about things like Christmas Eve. Are we shutting early? Are we closed over Christmas and Boxing Day and any other national holidays as well? And of course, don't forget to make sure that this is all consistent and mirrored across other places as well, including your website. Next, launching published gift guides or themed product collections. So this kind of matters because it's going to help customers discover your hopefully very well curated and themed offerings more easily. This kind of content can be really good for Google Business Profile posts or kind of general social posting content, but also emails and even including it on your landing pages as well. So this could be thinking about things like creating digital gift guides. So you might be starting to put together festive bundles. So maybe like personalized Hanukkah gifts, for example, or stocking fillers or gifts under $20. I think we've used that example before. Starting to showcase those on your Google Business Profiles, whether it be through posts or setting up in the product section, if your categories allow you to have that, can be really, really powerful. And then you can also make sure you've got that additional chance to send somebody through to a very relevant landing page, especially if you're using products, because you can link to that dedicated product page if you've got one. I think it's important to try and avoid using terms just like holiday gifts available and be much more specific and be as visual as you can as well. Make sure you've got some really good photos in there. And then make sure that you are kind of keeping track of your inventory that you're reflecting with this kind of content, because there's absolutely nothing worse than advertising out of stock items. Again, just is ripe for a negative review. And talking of reviews, I said it was going to come up in nearly every month. We want to just keep on that review wagon. It can be quite nice to make sure that we're maybe starting to capture some of the seasonal terms that we can get in some of the review content, but just keep plugging with the reviews. And then our categories, we spoke about these before. This might be an opportunity to have a look at our seasonal categories and start to add additional ones, or as we're starting to kind of at the end of the summer now, if you're a business that kind of operates very specifically one way in the summer, but then switches everything up for the winter, then this is a great time to switch your categories. So, for example, maybe you're a lawn care service throughout the summer, and now we've reached September, so we're kind of into the autumn fall season. Now might be a good time to switch up for snow removal service, for example, if that's how your business operates. And it can be really easy to forget to do that until it's too late. There's also kind of additional seasonal categories that may now start to apply to you that we can now add if we haven't done already. So things like holiday shop, or I noticed there was a category for gift basket store. Maybe you turn into a Christmas market, or maybe you're a garden centre that starts to that kind of operate a Christmas tree farm as well. You could start adding those categories now just to make sure that you're really building on that relevance. And then highlighting early bird deals. Again, as I said, a lot of people get into that mindset of now the kids are back to school. Like my head is now thinking about Christmas, and I'm planning what I'm going to buy. I'm starting to think about what might be in those Black Friday sales. So I'm much more kind of ready to consider who I'm going to spend my money with. So starting to pull together content and sharing it across all your local profiles and listings and on your local landing pages, and again, can really help to tap into some of that. So it may be kind of promoting booking early deals or discounts that you know you're going to be running. You can add call outs in your GPP services. If you've got kind of early bird deals going on, just remember to go in and update them if they change. You can also be really clever and make sure you're mentioning your cut-off dates for any discounts or any booking perks, just so you're protecting yourself. If your offer, if your offer does really, really well and sells out really quickly, just so you're not caught out. Just make sure your holiday sale messaging is always really clear, especially if there's terms and conditions attached. And then attributes is another great Google Business Profile feature, that this is a really good time to make sure that all of the attributes you've selected are really well representing your business, because attributes can be really helpful to users in understanding your business kind of at a glance, can improve your relevance and definitely improve your trust. Thinking kind of seasonal attributes, I know that there's some available for gift wrapping available. This might be a great time to add that one if your category allows for it. Accessibility attributes, again, these can be really, really key for somebody that's planning their shopping journey, making sure that if you are wheelchair accessible, make sure you're proudly stating that on your profile. But then there's other things to think about as well that maybe don't seem so important in the rest of the year, but looking at kind of showing through attributes what kind of credit cards or payments you take. If you're kind of expecting seasonal tourists, for example, it may be worth putting the different languages that are spoken, because there's language type attributes. And I think there may even be a holiday services available. And these are probably always evolving, and Google's always tweaking them or adding new ones. So go in and see what's available. They're all category dependent. So if you've changed up your categories, you may find that your attribute options are different as well. So it's a really good time to go and check that. And then I'm going to skip forward a little bit because I'm conscious of time. We've talked about photos before, but hopefully now you've got lots more seasonal product and service related kind of banners and things in store. So you can start taking those photos, keep building to that bank, and using those photos in your posts and on your socials, and start uploading them onto your website. We've already talked about reviews. So then we can switch through to October, which feels like the big go live date. We kind of get asked whether, is it really a case of just go live and that's it, job done? Or kind of yes, kind of no. It's definitely not like flipping a switch. I like to think of October as your kind of activation month. So think of it as kind of the time when all of that preparation that you've done is like really hitting the spotlight. And you're basically unleashing all of this great content, all these visuals you've been building up and preparing, and drip feeding is all going to kind of culminate together. So again, we've been hopefully by now taking loads of great photos. We've got lots of festive imagery in our visuals, in our content and assets bank. If we haven't already published those, just get them everywhere. Really showcase your business's personality. So not just your products, not just kind of the service related photos that you could take, but make sure you're including your customers if they're happy with that, and certainly celebrate your staff and your store aesthetic. There's some absolutely beautiful stores local to me, and I always think when I see their photos, it just makes me want to go and spend my money with them. Launching and showcasing your kind of big seasonal offers and bundles. So we might have done some teasers or some early bird offers, but if you've got some really big seasonal offers that are now live, start plugging those everywhere. Hopefully, again, you've been building up all of your visual assets so that you can really kind of showcase and sell them. Use your product section again, put them out on Google Posts, repurpose your socials, and kind of make sure you've got consistent messaging, but really kind of like plug. Now is the time. And then something that people maybe overlook or leave a little bit too late is to confirm your last order deadlines. So this is like your delivery cutoffs. When's the final date that somebody can order something for you? Is click and collect still available? How long can I still make bookings for Christmas parties, for example? Make sure that's really clear, because a lot of people are starting to get into that early panic mode. So make sure that you're there to help them and find you when they're looking to do those things. And we can step up awareness on any kind of general social campaigns, or if we're doing any kind of local paid campaigns as well, now's the time to start stepping that up. Run awareness and lead generation campaigns, that are very targeted for festive products or services or events that you're running. We can also make sure, if we're in the hospitality industry, that we have activated all of our seasonal menus. We may have already done this early, but if you haven't, then now is the time to make sure you're uploading all of your menu type photos, videos as well. Videos are great too. Make sure you're adding PDFs of your menus as well, because then Google can read those and understand and help return a little bit more relevant information if your restaurant, for example, caters for what somebody's specifically searching for menu-wise. And then we should be falling straight into the very final throes of getting ready for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So again, it's making sure that any planned posts that you have around this kind of these big events all go out on time, and that you're highlighting your deals and your bundle pricing, making sure you're putting out posts about your stock limits. If you're somebody that's got something in stock that everybody is desperate for, make sure that you are singing and dancing and posting about it everywhere. Any seasonal events that you've got going on in store, another great opportunity to put out Google posts around this. Make sure that if you're running events and they're ticketed, you can connect your Eventbrite pages to your Google Business profiles as well. Make sure you're promoting all of this all across your channel so you're nice and consistent, and make sure you're including all of the information that people need to know. I've already spoken about reviews too much, so keep plugging the reviews. And then we're into November, which is all about maximizing momentum. So with November, we're basically just turning up the volume on everything that we've already done. And if we've planned really well, hopefully this won't feel too overwhelming. We want to do another seasonal sense check of your Google Business profile and all of your other key listings. Make sure that consistency is still in place. You can start sharing, if you haven't done already, your Thanksgiving content and putting out your Thanksgiving messaging. Even if you're UK based, like showing appreciation for that can really resonate, especially on social media. And obviously in the US, it's going to be a key conversion moment. Re-highlight your last shipping and order dates. People are now very full into Christmas shopping mode. Some people might even be starting to panic. So make sure you are sharing that information again. And then something that's a little bit more community minded is, if you have the capacity to do so, invite local influencers or other businesses or community groups to come and see and sample your business. You'll hopefully be able to get lots of really positive social sharing and user-generated content from that. There's loads of ideas that we can share, things like preview evenings, or sampling, or inviting a local creator to maybe try your service or feature your gifts. Lots of collaboration opportunities here. And then you've got your final big push on Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend. Highlight all of your last offers, what you've still got in stock, and just keep plugging to just squeeze every last bit out of that. And then we can get involved with any community events or local publications. Again, if you've got the capacity and there's local markets going on that you can get involved on, or you can speak or talk about your business and what you're doing for the season to local newspapers or local bloggers. Can be a great way to spread the word, raise awareness, and really, really powerful local backlinks as well. Review responses. This is a great time to catch up on them if you've fallen behind. And then, as I said, keep shouting about the items that you still have in stock that are maybe selling out everywhere else. And you are one of the last person that's got those in stock. And then we're finally into December. So this is all about celebrating everything that you've done, celebrating your staff, celebrating your customers, and really finishing strong. This can be a great time because you're going to start to get the panic shoppers. And I remember these very well, especially on Christmas Eve, coming in like a headless chicken, not knowing what to do or what to buy. This is a great time to push gift cards, gift vouchers, last minute gift ideas. Make sure they're really, really prominent. You can put out there across your socials and your Google business profiles and your listings that, you know, we have this option for you, and keep plugging that right up until Christmas Eve. You can target your extra mile customers where you've really helped them in those last few weeks for Christmas to get some extra special reviews. And then we can start to share all of our festive celebrations, our decorations, our amazing store teams that are working really hard, and more importantly, our very hopefully happy customers as well, just to humanise your brand during, you know, a very sentimental time of the year. You can show your behind the scenes, you can show your decorations, can show your staff Christmas parties, and kind of give that human side to your business. Publish any thank you messages you want to put out there. And then it's kind of switching over to the other side of the list, which is preparing for sales and January. It comes and hits you really hard in the face. I can remember the switch over Christmas Eve. I was already working on Boxing Day sales, and it's very, very stressful. But if you've planned ahead, you'll be able to launch that smoothly. One key piece of advice I would give is try and find some time to train your staff on your refund, returns, exchange policies, because that's the number one thing that you'll get bad reviews about after Christmas. Is very frustrated people wanting to do refunds or exchanges. So try and take the time to train your staff ahead of the sales so that you're ready for that. And then I think we've probably wrapped most of this up. The last point I want to make is save all of your insights. Try and have a little bit of a debrief so that you can use everything you've learned and all the assets you've created, and any pain points that you had, so you can take that insight and then hopefully come back even bigger and better the following year. I think that will probably wrap it up, Jenny, so we've got a little bit more time.
Amazing. Yeah, no, great. No, really, really good. Thank you. I think just to sort of see everything like that, you know, step by step, every single kind of point around not just, you know, Google Business Profile, but the sort of wider marketing campaign to the actual, you know, real life training your staff and you know, getting yeah, gift cards and early bird offers and, you know, the real kind of business stuff there as well, I think is, yeah, super, super useful. So thank you. And yeah, comment here as well from Willie saying what a powerful presentation. So yeah, thank you for that. Really, really good.
If I had more time, I'd talk about it for hours, but we don't.
Brilliant. And we have had a couple of questions in, and I've also got a few sort of follow-up questions. I was kind of there, sort of busy taking loads of notes. Megan has asked, when the season has passed, what do you recommend to do with the photos, specifically GBP related? Do you keep them on there or do you delete them after the season is over?
I personally would keep them, but I would have some new ones to put up, which would hopefully push them down a little bit. But I think it's really important to be able to scroll back and see, you know, how a business evolves over the year. And it's really, and you might already be thinking, maybe you shopped with them or somebody told you about them that Christmas, but you missed the opportunity. You're like, okay, I'm going to remember that. That's a store I want to go back to in future. So when they come back to doing that, you know, thinking about that, maybe it's not even for the following Christmas, it's for, you know, somebody's birthday. And they're doing their research again, and it's like seeing those photos. I just think, like I said, it humanizes you. It shows your business throughout all the seasons, all the years, and that you don't only care about what customers are thinking about or wanting just in that particular month or moment. So yeah, I'd kind of compromise. I'd keep, if you've mass posted, maybe like take your least favorite ones down, but have some fresh ones. And you can even go back if you can even go back and repost old ones so that it just kind of reprioritizes them a little bit. But I definitely wouldn't strip them out. It's kind of denying part of what you did. And I just think it's part of your business's story.
Absolutely. Awesome. Trevor has asked, do you have best tips for service-based businesses doing removals, household moves, not physical products? Would it be just making more seasonal content, seasonal moving guides? He is based out of Australia, so big moving season is December, January, February, which is obviously the summer months in Australia.
Really good question. I think probably don't need to go yet as hard if you don't have physical products to show, but hopefully you would still be acknowledging, if not celebrating, the holidays with some or all of your staff. So I still think it's that human element. You can still show, whether it's through photos or content that you're writing about what you're doing with your staff or your customers, and how you're celebrating or acknowledging the season. But obviously it depends on what industry you're in, but for moving specifically, I definitely think it's about the content that you're creating. Maybe it's playing on you've got this seasonal to come first, and then you're adding this extra stress of moving. It's like, how are we going to make that easier for you in an already very stressful season? So I think it's just playing to your business's strengths and thinking about what is the user, what do they want to see and what do they want to hear from me, that where I can help them, and they're going to choose me because I'm the most credible and trustworthy and reliable, and I'm showing my human side of my business. So I think it is still doing all of those things, but just tailoring it to what your service provides and how it links into the season. But don't forget to be human and still include things about your staff and your customers. And it's still a great time to collect reviews as well, whatever business you're in.
Awesome. No, that totally makes sense. You talked about reviews a lot, which obviously we love, and it's such a, it's obviously a really important one.
Passion
yeah.
subject.
What's the best approach to take with negative reviews during peak trading and like the lead up to Christmas and the holiday season?
Firstly, don't panic. Like, everybody is going to get a bad review at some time, and there's certainly different industries that are more prone to them than others. But I think expect that you will get some. Hope that you don't, but expect that you will, and don't panic. Like, don't panic, but don't ignore them either. I guess like in kind of peak seasonal season, everybody's much more frazzled, and the closer it gets maybe to Christmas, tensions run high. Sometimes staff can make mistakes. It's how that you respond to the review that I think really says, that what it says about your business is just as important as the negative feedback in the first place. So don't ignore them, but don't panic. Try and just calmly respond to them. Obviously, if something they're saying doesn't ring true, or maybe it's breaking a guideline, you can absolutely flag it. But I still think it's important to try and give a very professional, calm response. And sometimes a negative review can be a really great opportunity for you as a business to show how you respond to that. So sometimes see it as an opportunity for you to showcase how professional and helpful you can be, even in the face of adversity. And then I would also just try and earn some new ones, positive new ones, to try and push it down. That would be my best advice.
Brilliant. And how agile does a local business need to be to start preparing for like the holiday season? Should everything be kind of set in stone, as this obviously amazing plan, or is there actually room to move?
I hate saying it depends. It depends on your industry. It even depends on where you are as a business. Maybe you're a complete new startup, maybe you've been in business for years, but I think preparation is key. But you have to be flexible. So I think, it's great to know what your promotions are going to be, what your key dates are, all of that kind of stuff in advance. But I think you need to think of this checklist, or like a roadmap, if you like. It needs to be like a living, evolving plan. So you want like the core of your campaigns to kind of be loosely scheduled, and definitely make sure you've got your assets ready wherever you can. But you need to leave yourself some like wiggle room. There's going to be unforeseen things that you need to react to, or sudden new trends, or sudden demand for something that you weren't expecting was going to be the next big thing this Christmas or this Thanksgiving. So I think you use it loosely and adapt it. And as I said throughout, when we were going through the checklist, you may feel for your business that sometimes doing something is too early or too late. And you need to, you know, your business is better than anyone. So you're going to need to adapt it. If you need to get ahead, then you post it a month earlier. If you feel like that's going to overshadow, maybe Thanksgiving is really big for you and you don't want to overshadow that by throwing Christmas out just yet, move it a month later. And I think it's just trial and error, which is why it's really important to kind of debrief yourself at the end and make notes throughout, so that next year you've got a much better understanding and you can tinker with things and maybe realign them so that they're really optimal for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you kind of covered it a little bit in one of the earlier slides, but do you have any tips for creating that seasonal content, obviously well before the season, when you might not have products in store yet, or the decorations up, or the menus planned, or
Yeah. As I said, we used to open stuff in like July, and it was just Christmas spilling out everywhere. But I appreciate that might not be the case for everybody, especially if you're like a smaller independent business. I think if you've been in business for longer than a year and you've already done a seasonal shift, then hopefully you've got some content from the previous year. So that can certainly be repurposed. Even just a few tweaks can just kind of like refresh it for the next year. So you can use some of that, or you can use things, or you can use it as kind of temporary placeholders. And then once you do get your Christmas stock in, you can obviously update it so that it's more fresh and more relevant and more accurate to what you're actually doing. I think creating like a template-based content to start off with, things that you know are generically going to work, like top 5 gift ideas. If you've got 5 staple things that year in, year out sell really well, or a type of event that you run, or menu items that you know are going to be on your menu every single year, like start the earlier content with that, because it's more reliable and you don't need to worry so much. And then almost like sneak peeks at things, like hinting at things. And then when you've got the final sign off on your menus, or you've had your your Christmas decorations or your Christmas gifts delivered, then you can just drop in the final images like right at the end. And I also think you can be really clever when it comes to like coming soon or behind the scenes moments. It can be great to, like I said, keep humanizing your business and kind of help build the anticipation and showing customers that you're preparing, so they get excited to find out what it's finally going to be when you do then kind of unveil everything. So I think all of that, doing a collection of those things can really help, but it doesn't need to be a big, like a worry if you don't have everything yet. There's lots of things you can do, and then just like level it up once you reach those moments and you have everything that you need.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's just try not to stress, and it's kind of let it sort of come when you get everything. Awesome, thank you so much. That's absolutely fantastic. Lots of really, really good learnings, and I personally have taken lots of notes because I think I've absolutely learned so many new things today. So thank you again. And just to let everyone know, Rachel has put together an amazing holiday checklist that you can download using the QR code on screen, and we've put the link in the live chat for you as well. So that's the first link there, and it's got everything you need. You can print it out, stick it on the wall, check everything off. It's really, really useful. And make sure you follow Rachel on social, on LinkedIn. I'm sure she won't mind if you contact her if you've got any other questions. Really, really happy to connect with her on there. And obviously, just a note that if you do want to improve your local SEO, we have got BrightLocal Academy, and we have got so many free video courses on all things local, lots of courses that are related to everything that we've talked about today. So if you're looking for, the foundations of local marketing, we've got some advanced courses as well. We've got courses specifically for those working in agencies or multi-location businesses. Everything is there for you to learn from. And finally, sign up to our newsletter if you haven't already. You will find out when the next webinar will be. and you'll get all the latest from BrightLocal. So thank you again to Rachel and to everyone who has joined us today. It's been really, really great session, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing you next time. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're
Thanks,
so
Jenny.
welcome. Take care, everyone.